Hey everyone, we are going to do a flow yoga class today. We're going to start with a little reading and then we will go into our flow and end with Shavasana like we normally do. So if you have blocks, grab them now, maybe some water, anything that you need, a pillow, blanket, anything, and find your way to your mat, which I will do right now as well. Okay, so today I am going to start by reading from this book. It's the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So basically, a sutra is like a thread. So it's these things that we weave together to help us live our lives, like ethical things or rules, practices, any of those. So one of them talks about having obstacles and things that happen all the time. So that is the one I'm going to read about right now, because really, what better time than right now when we're facing all sorts of different things than to acknowledge that there are obstacles and how we are able to deal with them. Yoga practice is like an obstacle race. Many obstructions are purposely put on the way for us to pass through. They are there to make us understand and express our own capacities. We all have that strength, but we don't seem to know it. We seem to need to be challenged and tested in order to understand our own capacities. In fact, that is the natural law. If a river just flows easily, the water in the river does not express its power. But once you put an obstacle to the flow by constructing a dam, then you can see its strength in the form of tremendous electrical power. So that was just a little something to start today. Give us something to think about, right? There are always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be things that come up in the world, in our lives. And when we're really challenged, that's when we are really able to use that strength that we have and stick together and have solutions and solve problems and all those things. So with that, we will begin taking some deep breaths. So slowly come to focus on your mat. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze and begin to take some deep breaths. Feeling the lungs expanding on the inhale and letting them completely deflate on the exhale. Pulling air in through the nose and letting it back out through your nose, which builds the heat within our bodies. We start from the inside out. And trying to bring that focus right to yourself, this moment, being on your mat. Either blocking out the sounds around you or acknowledging them and taking them in and being able to move past that. And just taking a couple more breaths. Nice long inhales. Equally long exhales. Last round of breath. Really hold that breath in for an extra count here. And then slowly exhale. Feeling all the air leave the lungs. And you can begin to open the eyes. Inhale your arms up and overhead. Exhale your hands to heart center. Good. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to heart center. And then take that right hand to that left knee and just gently twist. Just beginning to warm up the spine. Feeling that crown of the head reaching up, lengthening. And switching sides. Really feeling that breath. And coming back to center, bringing those hands to the knees. Just pulling on those knees to open the heart up. Good. Take one more long inhale. And exhale it out. Bring the hands to the mat and make your way into your tabletop position. Hands and wrists right under the shoulders, knees under hips. And just begin to settle here. Maybe you move side to side or take circles with your hips. Whatever feels good to you. And then just begin to rock a little bit forward and a little bit back, stretching those wrists a little bit. Good. And coming back to center. And flex those feet and curl the toes and push back into the toes. And coming forward. And again, push back into those toes. And you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can come up to our broken toe pose. This is not a pose that I can stay in for a long time, so if it's uncomfortable or painful, you can bring your hands back down. And just take 2 more breaths. And then walk the hands back down. Uncurl those toes. And sink the heels back, coming to our child's pose. You can keep your knees straight, or you can bring your knees out wide and your toes together. Coming to a child's pose. Either way. And let your head rest down on the mat. Feeling those shoulders opening here. Maybe you tent those fingers and walk them out a little bit further. Really feeling the shoulders. Keeping the hips sinking back. And walk your fingers to the right side of your mat. Just a gentle side body stretch here. And back to center. And walk them to the left side of your mat. Feeling the stretch on the right side. And back to center. And take 2 more breaths here. Coming back to our tabletop. Good. I'm going to grab my blocks now. So if you have blocks, feel free to grab them now. I'm going to put them up towards the top of my mat. Coming back to that tabletop, I'm going to step my right foot up between my hands, and then I'm going to walk my left knee back so that that back leg is not directly under the hip, it's at a diagonal. And then I'm going to bring my blocks right under my shoulders, resting my hands on the blocks. I'm just just going to sink my hips here. Let them start to stretch. Settling into this pose. Maybe sinking a little deeper on each exhale. And then I'm going to plant my left hand on the block that's on the inside of that right foot. Or you can place your hand on the floor. And I'm going to reach my right arm up. I'm going to keep my hips squared. So just turning from the belly. Arm reaching up. Keeping those shoulders stacked and in line. Gaze can go towards those fingers. One more round of breath. Hand can come down. And then walking those hands back. You can bring the blocks with you to straighten that front knee, coming to a half split. Really feeling this, the back of the leg, up the hamstring. You can flex that foot if you want. Maybe point it. Flex a little bit. See what feels better. And walking it forward. Moving our blocks. And making our way back to that tabletop. Good. From here, we're going to lower the belly on the inhale, coming to our cow pose. Chest and tail go up. And on our exhale, we're going to round our spine and let our head and neck hang heavy. Really pushing through those hands, feeling those shoulder blades protracting. And then inhale. Heart opens. Exhale to round. Pushing into the tops of those feet. In case this is hurting the knees, taking a little pressure off the knees. Inhale. And exhale. Coming back to neutral. And then we'll take the other side. So this time we'll step our left foot up between the hands. And feel free to grab those blocks. Walk that right foot back a little. And then just sink those hips. You can have your blocks on any measurement. Just want to keep the belly from sort of caving over onto that front thigh. Keeping everything strong and active. Good. And placing the right palm on that block on the inside, that left foot. And our left arm this time reaches up. So again, keeping those hips square and flat here. You can use your hand to make sure that they are flat. And then stacking the shoulders. And then you can lift that arm up. Last round of breath. And exhale down. Good. And then walking those hands back towards the hips to straighten that front knee for our half split on our other side. And again, you can straighten and point and flex those toes if you want. You can just keep them where they are. If you have a full split, you can go into that right now too. Just using my words as a guideline. Your practice is your own, so doing what feels right for you in any given moment. And moving our blocks, coming forward, and making our way back to that tabletop. And keep those blocks on the sides of your mat. And taking a couple more cat-cows here. So inhale and exhale. Good. Inhale. Maybe bend the elbows a little. And exhale. And push into those feet a little on the exhale and lift those knees. One more time. Inhale, bending the elbows. And exhale to lift the knees. And coming back to center. Nice work. Curling those toes. Then we're going to walk our hands about one handprint forward. My sleeves keep getting under my hands. Planting the palms. Middle fingers pointing forward. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Curl those toes and lift the hips up and back, coming to down dog. Letting that head and neck hang heavy. Maybe you shake your head, yes and no. Let it relax here. Heels are reaching towards the mat. Feeling that spine lengthen here. So you really want to use your hands and your arms to lengthen those hips and up so your spine is long. Inhale, come to a plank pose. Hold here, pull the belly in and up. Exhale, back to down dog. One more time. Inhale, rolling forward to plank. Drop those knees and uncurl the toes. And we're going to bend our elbows back, keeping them right by your ribs, and lower all the way to the mat. Pushing into the tops of the feet. Inhale to lift the head and chest. Baby cobra. Exhaling down. And again, inhale up to that baby cobra. This time lift the hands. So you're really using the muscles in your back and not your hands to lift your chest and head. And lower down. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, down dog. Nice. One more time. Rock forward to our plank pose. This time you can lower your knees, or if you'd like to keep them lifted, lower all the way down. Uncurl those toes. Inhale up to baby cobra. Exhale down. And you can inhale up to a tabletop, or you can come through a reverse plank and back to down dog. Good. We're going to lift our right heel and just bring it over the left foot. Our arms stay the same. And just pushing those heels towards the mat. So you basically pinky toe to pinky toe. And come back. You can walk it out for a minute here. And then switch sides. The left foot goes to the outside of that right. Pushing into the mat. Little extra stretch here. Uncurl those toes. Walk it out one more time. And settle in your down dog. Take one more round of breath. So a nice long inhale. And on your exhale, slowly walk your feet to meet your hands at the top of your mat. And then we're going to slowly roll to stand, coming to our mountain pose. That's always the fix your shirt pose. Every time you come from the floor. Letting the fingers reach down. Letting the shoulders relax away from the ears. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, heart center. Nice job. Inhale those arms up. And exhale, bowing forward, folding down. In this forward fold, I'm going to just do it sideways so you can see. You can bend your knees here as much as you want, because you really are trying to lengthen the spine more than straighten the legs. So if your knees are bent, that's okay. You want your heart lower than your hips. And your head hanging down. You can grab opposite elbows. Maybe sway side to side. Just hanging here in our ragdoll. This is one of my favorite poses. And releasing down. Bringing your feet together. We're going to inhale our hands to our shins, coming to a flat back. So your crown of your head is reaching forward while your tail is reaching back. Making a nice flat surface with your back. Take one more round of breath here. And folding down. And then rolling all the way up to stand. Coming back to the top of your mat. Nice work. Inhale, arms come up and overhead one more time. This time, interlace your fingers and just release your pointer fingers. So they're reaching up. Gonna inhale, and on our exhale, we're gonna hinge. I'm gonna move over just a little bit so I can hinge here to the side, creating like a C. So you want your feet to stay in the same place, your hips and your arms going in opposite directions. So your hips are really pushing out while your arms are going to the opposite direction, maybe like a crescent moon. But keeping those shoulders in line with each other. You don't want to curve this way or open this way. So nice and straight. And coming back to center. And then exhaling to the other side. You might be able to go a little deeper on one side than the other. It's pretty normal. It's okay. Then coming back to center. And hands to heart. Bringing our big toes together, we are going to sink our hips down, coming into our chair pose. Perfect, just like this. I'm going to turn this way. Keeping those hands at our heart center. We're going to lift. We're going to bring all our weight to our right foot and begin to lift our left heel. And then we're going to pick up our left foot and step it back, coming to a high lunge. So you want to keep that left heel up off of the floor so that that whole thigh is facing down. Our hips are squaring to the front. It's our high lunge, Anjaneyasana. Hands can come to the hips. Breathing here. Our left arm comes forward and our right arm is going to come back. Open T twist. And take that right hand to that left thigh and reach the left arm up. Coming back to our open T. Coming back to center. Good. Opening to warrior two. So taking up lots of space on your mat. Our front foot is facing forward. That right thigh is opening. That left thigh is inward, coming inward. I can't think of words today. The back foot is parallel with the back of your mat. Your toes are slightly in. So your hips are open. Arms can reach in opposite directions. Flip those palms. Let the shoulders settle down, away from the ears, and then bring them back. Good. Flip that front palm, reach up and reverse our warrior. And take that left arm across your body. And coming back to warrior two, straightening that front knee. Turning all your toes to one side, bringing your hands to your lower back, and just inhale to open your heart. On your exhale, hinging forward, stopping when you get to flat back. Good. And then drop your hands to the mat. And just take whatever movements you feel here. So the wider you spread your legs, the easier it is to touch the floor with your hands. But you can always use a block to bring your chest up a little higher. Maybe you bend one knee and then the other knee. Maybe you walk your hands back towards your heels and let your head hang down. Whatever feels good for you. Good, and then bring your left hand to your hip, and then your right, and we're going to come right back up the way we went down. Good, and we're going to take the same thing on the other side. So we are just going to move our left toes so that they are pointing to the end of our mat. Our back foot should already be parallel. And then we'll bend that front knee, coming into our warrior two on the other side. And just sinking down here. And flipping that front palm to reach up and reverse. Right arm reaches across the body. Coming back to warrior two. And again, flip those palms. And reverse. Good, and then bring your hands to your hips, and we're slowly going to make our way into that high lunge. Good. This time our right arm comes forward, and our left arm comes back for our open T. Coming back to center, hands come to our hips. And we're going to step that back foot up to the front and sit back into our chair pose. Hands can come to heart center. And hold here for just 2 breaths. And exhale to fold down. Hands come to the shins for that flat back. Exhale, fold. And slowly roll to stand. Nice job. Standing, facing the front of the room. We are going to take a couple of balancing poses here. Just checking the time. So first we are going to bring our toes and we're going to sink into that chair pose to start. Then we're going to lift our left leg and we're going to cross it over our right. Like we're sitting in a chair. Hands can come to heart. Our eagle legs. And we can add the eagle arms. Arms come out to a T. Left arm comes under the right, crossing at the elbows. And they can grab opposite shoulders. Or they can come up to bind in our full eagle pose. Breathing here. Last round of breath. Inhale and exhale to release. Nice work. And let's take the other side. So this time I'm lifting my right foot. So I think first I sunk into my chair, lift the right knee, cross it over the left. Good. Then add the arms. This time right arm under left. Keeping the arms and the knees in line, sinking down, remembering to breathe. Last round of breath. And exhale to release. Arms come up and overhead. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And again, slowly roll up to stand. Good. We're going to step. I'll stand this way so you can see me. I'm going to step my right foot back, coming to that high lunge. Settling in here. Good. Hands come to your hips. I'm going to bend that knee so you really feel a deeper stretch in that hip flexor, but it also releases any tension in that lower back. And then we're going to sink down and come up. A couple more times. One more. Come up. And now straighten into that knee. Straighten into the front knee. Good. Chest opens, gaze goes up. Maybe the hands come behind you to clasp. And gaze forward, release the bind, sinking back down. Arms inhale up. Exhale, warrior two. So again, you may need to widen that stance to come into that warrior two. You don't want that. If that front knee is going over your foot, over the toes, then just widen your stance. Just means you have more space. Flipping that front palm to reverse. Coming back to stand, and we are going to come into a side angle. So we're going to reach our upper body forward. And then that left arm's going to come to that left thigh, and our right arm's going to reach up. You can always reach that right arm over your head, extending that angle. Or you can bring it behind you and bring it towards that left hip crease there for a half a bind. Gaze can go to the ceiling, so our shoulders are stacking. We're using our legs here, nice strong legs, using our core to keep our body from collapsing onto that front leg. And inhale back up, reverse the warrior, and then straighten into that front knee. Good. Coming back to stand, keeping that front knee straight. Our upper body is going to do the exact same thing. So we're hinging our body forward while our hips move back, right? So kind of like they're being pulled, and then we hinge down, coming to our triangle. And you really don't want to rest this hand on this leg because it'll put unnecessary pressure on that leg. So if it's difficult to hold the hand here, grab a block and push your hand into the block and reach up. And it depends on what your goal is for the pose too. So if you're really stretching the legs, maybe try balancing here, right? But if you want to open the chest up, right, and stack those shoulders, using the block really helps you be able to do that. Coming back up to stand, bending that front knee, reversing our warrior. Good. Back to stand. And all 10 toes facing the same direction. Hands are going to come to our hips. And we are going to bend into our right knee first and hinge our upper body forward. So we're not bending so much as we're bending that knee and then hinging our upper body forward. And then our arms can come out to the sides. Really using all our muscles here. Our legs are working. They might start shaking a little. The core is working. The arms. 2 more rounds of breath. Last round. Exhale. Hands come down, come up. Straighten it out. Good. And then we're going to move to the other side. So those right toes point out, coming to our warrior 2, facing the other direction. Flipping and reversing. Coming back to stand. And then making our way into that side angle on the other side. So hinging forward, right arm comes to right knee. Left arm reaches up. Left arm can reach forward to extend. Can come behind your back as well. Just really using that core to keep yourself from collapsing down. You don't want to collapse down. And then inhale up. Reverse the triangle. Back to stand. And then we'll make our way into triangle. So same exact motion, except for that front knee is straight without locking out. You can hinge down. And again, feel free to grab that block here. And that'll really help you open and stack those shoulders and open that heart and that chest. Inhale back up, bend that front knee to reverse your warrior. Back to stand. And then bring those hands to those hips and we'll make our way into that high lunge. Right, that was so not graceful, but you know, it happens. And then bending that back knee, feeling that stretch, that hip flexor, and then bend down. Straighten, down, straighten, one more time, straighten the front knee, gaze can go up and maybe we bind the hands. Releasing the hands, bending. Good. And then we're going to step that left foot to the top of our mat. Inhale up and over. Exhale. Right to heart center. Nice job. Good. So take a sip of water here if you have some water. I'm just going to check my time. We're doing good. We're going to do one more standing sequence and then we will move to the floor. So take a couple deep breaths, grab a drink, whatever you need right here. And we will begin that last sequence. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, folding down. Hands come to shins, flat back. On our exhale, we're going to plant our palms and step back to our plank pose here. Good. Lower either all the way down, lowering the knees or not, or lower halfway down chaturanga. Roll to the tops of the feet for up dog, or you can do baby cobra and come back to down dog. Good. 2 more rounds of breath here in this down dog. Bring the toes together behind you. We're going to lift our right heel up towards the ceiling. 3-legged dog. Exhale, we're going to bring that right knee in towards our chest and step between the hands. And then grab your blocks. Pressing into the blocks, we're going to drop that back heel. You might have to hop it in a little bit so that you can drop the heel. So you want the heel flat, toes pointing to about 10 o'clock here. That front knee is straightening, coming to our pyramid pose. You really want your spine to be long here, so nice flat back. Right hip is working back, left hip is working forward. And just relaxing here. And then placing that left hand on the block on the inside of that right foot, your right hand is going to come to your lower back. Good. So we inhale to lengthen your spine. On the exhale, twisting, stacking the shoulders, keeping those hips in line. Twisting triangle. Untwisting. Good. And then I'm going to use my blocks here. I'm going to bring them to the side, but I'm going to step my back foot down and lower my back knee, coming to that low lunge. And bring my blocks up by my hips. I'm going to plant my right hand on the block, and my left arm is going to come up and over. Left hand comes down, and then this time my right arm comes up and over. Good. Come back down, sinking into those hips. Maybe lifting both arms up. Relaxing our shoulders down. Hands can come forward. And from here, we're going to make our way into a half pigeon. So, we're going to take this right leg and right foot, we're going to walk it all the way to the left side of our mat. Okay? And then we're going to bring that right knee down. So, we want that right thigh parallel with the side of our mat. The shin can be parallel with the top of your mat, but it might not be. But you want to keep those hips nice and square. Okay, so if this right hip is moving around, just take a block and stick it right onto that hip to keep it right in line. And then those back toes, walk them as far as they go back. Uncurl the toes and let that leg reach down that way. Good. All our weight should be in our hips. And then you can stay up here in arms, or you can come down to elbows. And you can relax your head down if that's comfortable. You can even rest your head on a block. If this is a pose that's not accessible at all to you, what you can do is you can roll over on your back and just cross the right foot over the left foot and pull that left thigh in to open the hip that way. Okay, so that's just another way to find that pose if it is not an accessible pose for you. And taking a few more breaths in this pose, really sinking into our hips. If if you work, you're an essential worker, and you're at work today, maybe you need to relax, decompress, take some deep breaths, do some yoga, go drink some wine. Or maybe you're at home with your children, also might need some wine. And if you're on your elbows, making your way back to your hands, pushing into the hands, you're going to uncurl those back toes, push into the toes to lift that knee, and then come back to our down dog. Just like that. Perfect. And maybe you walk it out a little, bring a little bit of life back into that hip. You can even lift that right leg and open that hip. And we're going to lift our left heel towards the sky, three-legged dog. And then exhale that left knee towards your chest, stepping between the hands. And again, grabbing those blocks. Good. Hopping that back foot in so that you can plant it. The heel, toes pointing towards 2 o'clock. I like to use my blocks in this pose. Keep the spine nice and long. That left hip is working back, right hip pulling forward. And just breathe in our pyramid pose here. You can always heel toe that left foot out a little bit to the edges of your mat, just a little bit, to improve the balance. Just makes your hips and your feet hip width apart. And then we're going to take the block that's in our right hand, plant that right hand down, and bring our left hand to our lower back. Inhale to lengthen, and on our exhale, twisting to the side, stacking those shoulders, keeping that hand on that lower back today. Twisting triangle. Last round of breath. And exhale down. And then again, making your way down to that low lunge. Walking the hands with the blocks or without back towards your hips. Good. And then left hand plants, right arm comes up and over. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches up and over. Coming back to center. And maybe you can stay right here with your hands on the blocks, or you can reach your arms up. Maybe you interlace those thumbs. Pull the thumbs. Let the shoulders relax down the spine and just sink into your hips here. And releasing down. And we're going to make our way into that pigeon pose on the other side. So heel toe that left foot all the way to the right side of the mat. Bring it down. And then you're going to sink down. So that left thigh is really sort of parallel with the left side of your mat. Walk those right toes back. Good. And you can stay here. You can come down to blocks. You can let your head rest on blocks. Your elbows can come to the mat. Whatever's comfortable in a fairly uncomfortable pose. And again, if this is completely not accessible, just turn over on your back and take the reclining pigeon on the other side than you did last time. So the left heel over the right knee And then pull that right knee in towards your chest. Our hips hold a lot of our stress and our past, anxiety, right? So they tend to be a little bit tighter, right? So we need a little more time to let them release and relax into these poses. And just think about that sutra from the beginning, right? About how if there was never any conflict or obstacles or rocks in our way, that we'd never be challenged. We'd never have to pull upon the strength that we have or the resources. We'd never have to band together to solve problems, right? If there was nothing that ever got in our way, it would just be smooth sailing. And as nice as that sounds, right? That's not really how life works. And 2 more breaths here. And make your way back to your hands. Releasing. And coming back to that down dog. Good. This final little stretch here. Walking out those feet. You can open that left hip. And when you're ready, coming back to that tabletop. Perfect. We're going to reach our left arm forward and our right foot back. Keeping those hips nice and square here. Really activating that belly, pulling the belly button in and up towards the spine. And just breathing, maintaining balance. Last round of breath, really stretch. And exhale down. Good. And then just sway side to side for a moment. Other side, our right arm is going to reach forward, keeping like you're shaking hands so the shoulders are nice and square. Left foot reaches back. And again, pulling that belly in and up, activating your core, using all your muscles. Last round of breath. And exhale down. Nice work. And then come to a seated position on your mat. Good. We are going to take that right hand to our left knee and twist open. Very much the same that we did in the beginning, but maybe we can twist a little deeper. And then switch sides. Crown of the head reaches up. On our inhale, we lengthen our spine. And on our exhale, we twist a little deeper. Coming back to center. Bringing the soles of the feet together. You can bring them in towards your hips, or you can keep them out. It doesn't really matter. Hands come to the feet. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and on the exhale, just hinge forward until you feel like you want to round your spine. You don't want to round your spine, so you want to keep it long. So if you hinge forward and then you're like, then stop right here, right? So you're just hinging forward enough to feel the stretch, right? But also keep the spine nice and long. And coming back up, bringing your knees in, lengthening your legs, just shaking them out here. And make your way to your back. Bring a block with you and lower all the way down to your spine. Feet pushing into the floor. Hands are by the sides. Walking those heels back towards the hips. Now we're going to push into the hands and the feet to lift the hips up. Knees are pulling forward. Hips are reaching up. You can even shimmy your shoulders together and clasp your hands under your spine if you would like to. And just breathing here. If your hands are under your back, you can release them and lower down. Walk your feet to the outsides of your mat and knock your knees together in the middle. Good. And then grabbing that block. We're going to push into the feet and lift the hips and place the block right under your lower back, under your sacrum, and then rest the hips down. Good. We're coming to a supported bridge. First, reach your arms over your head. And then if it's comfortable, walk your feet out long. If not, keep your knees bent. And walk the feet back in. Bring the arms by the sides. Push into the feet. Pick up the block and move it out of the way. This time, bring the soles of the feet together. Let your knees splay open. Hands can rest along your body. Maybe one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Supta Baddha Konasana. Reclining bound angle. And just take a couple breaths here. Bring the knees back together. Pull your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a hug and just rock side to side. Good. Drop those feet one more time and grab that block for the last time. Push into the feet, lift the hips, and place that block onto that sacrum again. And this time, lift your feet towards the ceiling. You can also put your feet up against a wall if you don't have a block. And just relax here. Maybe you make circles with the feet, one way and then the other. Just let the feet relax. I love this pose. It gives, not only do we get to give our feet some love, which do so much for us, right? Where most of us are on our feet all the time, running around, walking places, working, all sorts of things. Gives them a little bit of love. And then when you're ready, bring those feet down to the mat. Push into the feet to remove the block. And then make your way into your final resting pose of Shavasana. Lying flat, arms by the sides. Feet can splay open. Maybe you close your eyes. And just relax here. Allow the feet and the legs to soften. Let the hips melt into the floor. Allowing the belly, the chest, and the arms to be heavy. And just resting on the mat. Releasing any tension from our face, unclenching the jaw. Feeling the eyes relax. Smoothing out the forehead. And just breathing here. And thinking back to our sutra one more time. Obstacles allow us to show how strong we are, to use the power that we all have within us to overcome, right? To band together, to continue on. So though life will always throw us rocks and curveballs and roadblocks and all those things, right? That's just the nature of life. We have the power within ourselves to withstand whatever roadblock, right? To solve the problems, to be positive, to use our positive thinking to change our negative thoughts. And to eventually overcome. When you are ready, begin to bring some life back into the fingers and the toes, maybe wiggling them. Pull your knees in towards your chest and roll to one side of your body. And then slowly make your way up to a seated position on your mat. Keeping the eyes closed or the gaze down, bring the hands to heart center, resting those thumbs right on your chest. We will end with one united sound of Om. Inhale. Bring your thumbs to your third eye, forehead center, and namaste. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I am here on Friday for the kids class, which anyone is welcome to join, or Tuesday night for a flow. And see you next time. Bye.